The Gaza Health Ministry reports that since October 7th, more than 46,692 Palestinians have been killed, including nearly 17,672 children. Updated figures also show that over 106,050 people have been injured in Gaza alone, with more than 11,160 missing under the rubble. In the West Bank, updated figures show that at least 838 people, including around 172 children, have been killed, with more than 6,700 people injured. Gazans continue to hope for a ceasefire as negotiations continue in Qatar, with officials once again gather.
برغم انه بيقولوا في تهدئه ما زالت الطائرات يعني طول الليل من نمش ليل ونهار بتضلها الزن وما زال يعني عدد كثير مات في الايام هذه برغم انهم بيقولوا في تهدئه مش شايفين يعني اي بوادر من التهدئه بالعكس كل ما يقولوا في تهدئه بزيد الطيران بزيد الضرب بزيد الاموات بزيد عدد الشهداء والجرحى يعني ما عاد عندنا صبر ما عاد عندنا تحمل ما يعني مش قادرين منواسي بعض لكن احنا من يعني الشعب يحتضر القيادات تحتضر الشعب يحتضر الناس يرسى لها وضعه يرسى له الناس تعبت ما عاد عندنا امل ما عاد عندنا قوه للتحمل احنا بنطلب من الله يدينا القوه يدينا الصبر يدينا الثبات ان نصبر ونكون ثابتين على ارضنا مرابطين ولكن لا حول لنا ولا قوه.
Human Rights Watch has accused Israel of using the water supply in Gaza as a weapon of war. The new Human Rights Watch report says that the Israeli destruction of the water supply and sewage system is deliberately denying Palestinians a basic human right. Such accusations will reinforce the claim that war crimes are being committed in Gaza, as the denial of access to adequate water supply is purposely targeting the civilian population by an occupying military force. The report argues that the Israeli authorities have deliberately inflicted conditions of life calculated to bring about the destruction of part of the population of Gaza by intentionally depriving Palestinian civilians there of adequate access to water, most likely resulting in thousands of deaths. The report demands that governments and international organisations should take all measures to prevent a genocide in Gaza, including discontinuing military assistance, reviewing bilateral agreements and diplomatic relations, and supporting the International Criminal Court and other accountability efforts. The 179-page report, Extermination and Acts of Genocide, Israel Deliberately Depriving Palestinians in Gaza of Water, found that Israeli authorities have been intentionally depriving Palestinians in Gaza of access to safe water for drinking and sanitation needed for basic human survival. Israeli authorities and forces cut off and later restricted pipe water to Gaza. They rendered most of Gaza's water and sanitation infrastructure useless by cutting electricity and restricting fuel. They deliberately destroyed and damaged water and sanitation infrastructure and water repair materials, and they blocked the entry of critical water supplies. The report found that Israeli authorities have also barred nearly all water-related aid from entering Gaza, including water filtration systems, water tanks, and materials needed to repair water infrastructure. In addition, Human Rights Watch found that some statements from senior Israeli officials calling for cutting water, fuel, and aid in tandem with their actions have amounted to direct and public incitement to genocide.
Citizens in Gaza's Deir al-Balah mourn loved ones killed in Israeli strike. Palestinians mourned their loved ones killed in an Israeli strike on Sunday night and held funeral prayers for them at Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Gaza. Negotiations on Sunday over the details of a deal to halt fighting in the Gaza Strip and return hostages home, as Palestinian officials said intensified Israeli bombardments had killed more than 100 people over the weekend.
كانوا نايمين قاعدين في دارهم ما شافوا لك سوي عليهم قتلهم والله لا يهديهم البال الاطفال خضر عليهم ولا بهالشيء اطفال كلهم بنتي موظفة وكالة لا لها بتشدي ولا بتدي ولا بحماس ولا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل العائلة كل العائلة بلادنا بروح وبناتنا هيك حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله إن لله وإنا إليه راجعون
Londoners told Elon Musk to stop interfering in UK politics after the US millionaire made a series of provocative posts on the social media platform X, which he owns. Musk has variously supported fascist Tommy Robinson, currently serving a 1.5-year prison sentence, called for King Charles to dissolve the UK Parliament, suggested that the US should help Britons get rid of the government, which he described as tyrannical, and abused Labour MP Jess Phillips as a rape apologist. But Musk, despite being given a post in the Trump administration, didn't impress Londoners. The view on the street was that Musk's unsolicited advice was unwelcome.
There's an outside body who's got private interests that we don't understand and we don't know. So it's an unelected official who's demonstrating a political interest for motives that we've got no idea where he's coming from. So yeah, I do have concerns about it.
Elon Musk should not be involved in any form of politics. He should just stick to business, what he knows. Right? There's a misconception that he knows politics because he made it in business. Micro and macroeconomics are two different things. Elon Musk should just stay out of politics, period.
I'd rather he'd stayed out of politics, personally. He's drifted into German politics as well, so you have to ask why. And basically we've got lots of billionaires making lots more money while everyone else is struggling, and then telling us that they're there for our greater good. It doesn't cut, so I don't buy it.
I get nervous when he starts paying large amounts of money and having a very direct influence on our politics, because I think it's hard for the person in the street like me to really understand what's going on when there's so much influence behind the scenes. But I have no problem with the opinion. I start to get worried when there's direct involvement.
After days of controversy, the Prime Minister Keir Starmer also made his first public statement on the stream of invective that Musk has directed at the UK in general and his Labour government in particular. Starmer had this to say.
On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. Those that are spreading lies and misinformation as far and as wide as possible, they're not interested in victims. They're interested in themselves. Those who are cheerleading Tommy Robinson are interested in justice. They're supporting a man who went to prison for nearly collapsing a grooming case, a gang grooming case. These are people who are trying to get some kind of vicarious thrill from street violence that people like Tommy Robinson promote. And those attacking Jess Phillips, who I'm proud to call a colleague and a friend, not protecting victims. Jess Phillips has done 1,000 times more than they've even dreamt about when it comes to protecting victims of sexual abuse throughout her entire career.
Musk's statements, particularly his support for Tommy Robinson, was even too much for Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. Farage and Musk have previously been a mutual admiration society of two, with Musk promising huge funds to reform.
Billionaire Elon Musk said Nigel Farage should quit as leader of Britain's right-wing Reform UK party on Sunday. It marks an abrupt shift from Musk's previous support for Farage, who he seemingly backed and posed with in a photograph last month. Farage has previously said he was in talks with Musk about donations to Reform, which challenges the dominant Labour and Conservative parties. But on Sunday, Musk said the Reform Party needs a new leader. Farage doesn't have what it takes. Musk made that statement on X only a few hours after Farage described him as a friend who made Reform look cool. Reform won 4.1 million votes and 5 seats in Parliament in last July's national election. But Farage has distanced himself from Musk, who voiced support for Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who goes by the pseudonym Tommy Robinson. He's a British anti-immigration and anti-Muslim activist, serving prison time for contempt of court after he was successfully sued for libel by a Syrian refugee. Farage responded to Musk on X, saying, "My view remains that Tommy Robinson is not right for reform and I never sell out my principles." Last month, Musk endorsed the right-wing Alternative for Germany party ahead of Germany's national elections in February. It takes an anti-immigration, anti-Islamic stance, and German security services have labelled them as extremists. Musk has previously sought to influence British politics and has criticised Prime Minister Keir Starmer repeatedly since anti-immigration riots last summer.
But Musk's support for the openly racist repeat offender Robinson was a step too far, and so Farage distanced himself from Musk. Farage was repaid in kind, with Musk posting that Farage should be replaced as Reform UK leader.
Keir Starmer has unveiled new plans for the NHS, pledging to slash waiting lists and modernise the healthcare system in his first major speech of 2025. The Prime Minister warned that the NHS could not continue as a national money pit, stressing the need for comprehensive change to deliver better outcomes without burdening taxpayers with ever-rising taxes. Starmer's plan for change aims to tackle the staggering backlog of 7.5 million patients waiting for care. Central to the plan is a commitment that 92% of patients will receive pre-planned care within 18 weeks by 2029, with an interim target of 65% by the end of next year, impacting around 450,000 people. To achieve this, community diagnostic centres will operate 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, increasing capacity for vital scans and endoscopies by up to 500,000 extra appointments annually. Other measures include expanding the use of the NHS app, allowing patients greater control over their care, and facilitating direct referrals to surgical hubs for routine procedures like cataract surgeries and orthopaedic operations. Private clinics will also play a role, with a focus on reducing backlogs in gynecology and orthopaedics, where waiting times have reached crisis levels. Starmer rejected fatalism about the NHS's future, insisting it must catapult into the future by embracing innovation and convenience.
Thousands braved the rain and snow to rally in South Korea's capital Seoul on Sunday as a warrant for impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol's arrest was set to expire at midnight on Monday. Some demanded Yoon's arrest following his botched attempt at imposing martial law in Asia's fourth largest economy last month, while other protesters opposed it. In remarks that could push the political crisis towards another high-stakes confrontation, the presidential security chief said on Sunday he could not cooperate with efforts to arrest the impeached leader. Park Chung-jun cited the legal debate surrounding the warrant, saying that Yoon is still president, even though Parliament had voted to impeach him. It's up to the Constitutional Court to make a final decision on whether to remove or reinstate him. Park's comments came after a Seoul court rejected a complaint from Yoon's lawyers that the arrest warrant was illegal and invalid, the Yonhap news agency reported. His lawyers have said the anti-graft force leading his criminal probe has no authority under South Korean law to investigate any case involving insurrection accusations. On Saturday, the investigators had asked acting President Choi Sang-mok, the finance minister, to order the Presidential Security Service to comply with the arrest warrant. That came a day after the security officers blocked them from arresting Yoon in a 6-hour standoff. In a statement on Sunday, the finance ministry said Choi urged authorities to make sure no one was hurt by efforts to enforce the law.
Moldovas Breakaway region of Transnistria has been hit hard by the severing of one of Russia's last gas export routes to Europe. Russia had long provided free gas and had been pumping some 70 billion cubic feet of the fuel to the region per year. That ended New Year's Day after Ukraine, nearly 3 years into Russia's full-scale invasion, refused to extend a transit deal letting Russia pump gas across its territory. The blow was immediate. Households' central heating and hot water were cut off on Wednesday. The next day, the government said all industrial enterprises apart from food producers had been forced to cease production. In the main city of Tiraspol, some residents said they weren't too bothered yet.
I would not say it is too cold now. I put on extra clothes, wrap in a blanket. It is okay for now. It is still warm outside.
Residents told Reuters that people were lining up to buy electric heaters and stoves, and that prices for essential goods, as well as blankets, had shot up since Wednesday. Transnistria won de facto independence from Moldova as the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 1990s. Though it is not recognized by any country, and Moldova regards the region's people as its own citizens, Russia maintains about 1,500 troops there. Separately from the transit dispute with Ukraine, Russia's Gazprom said in late December it would halt supplies to Moldova on January 1st over $709 million in unpaid gas debts. Moldova disputes that and has put the debt around $9 million. International Director of the Royal United Services Institute, Jonathan Isle, said Russia's goal was to foment trouble between Transnistria and the central government.
There is no question that the Moldovan government wants to help bail out the separatists at this moment. I think the objective here is to create a state of permanent friction, a state of permanent tensions, and the prelude to future Russian military interventions in the region.
Moscow denies using gas as a weapon and blames Ukraine for the halting of deliveries. Moldova's prime minister said on Friday that the cutting of Russian gas to Transnistria had created a crisis for his country.
European shares ticked up today as chip stocks advanced following Microsoft's bumper AI investment announcement, kicking off a week packed with economic data around the world, including inflation readings in Europe and jobs data in the United States. Europe's premier index, the StoXX 600, was up 0.2% as of this morning, taking cues from an upbeat close on Wall Street on Friday. The data calendar for the week was heavy, with inflation readings across Europe slated to be released throughout the week. Data showed Germany's service sector experienced a slight uptick last month, while a broader Eurozone reading showed overall activity contracted for a second straight month. European equities lagged their US counterparts in 2024 as concerns about a slowing economy, political turmoil in Germany and France, and the threat of tariffs from the incoming Donald Trump administration made for an uncertain outlook.
Die Börsenwoche ist positiv gestartet, der DAX mit positiven Vorzeichen. Der Grund dafür ist, dass wir keine negativen Nachrichten haben und die Grundstimmung an den Börsen positiv ist. Wir sehen natürlich in den ersten 2 Monaten dieses Jahres 2 großen politischen Events entgegen, nämlich der Vereidigung von Donald Trump und natürlich den Wahlen in der Bundesrepublik. Das sind die 2 ganz großen politischen Themen. Darüber hinaus erhoffen wir uns natürlich jetzt gerade nach dieser Weihnachtsphase, nach der Pause, neue Daten, neue wirtschaftliche Daten, sowohl betriebswirtschaftliche wie volkswirtschaftliche Daten. Und da sehen wir im Moment erstmal mit einer großen Spannung entgegen. Ja, wir sehen natürlich gerade doch auch schon mit einem besorgten Blick, wie die neue Regierung in den USA ihren Politikstil auch verkörpert. Denn Elon Musk soll offensichtlich ein enger Berater der Regierung werden. Gleichzeitig regiert er mit einer gewissen Art und Weise, dass er nämlich sein eigenes Geschäft auch voranbringen will. Beispielsweise hat er jetzt die italienische Regierungschefin Meloni vor Ort, die über Regierungsaufträge mit ihm diskutiert, einem aktuell noch Privatmann. Das zeigt schon, wir müssen uns wieder auf einen neuen Politikstil einstellen und das hat schon auch was mit einer gewissen Skurrilität zu tun.
New York City's new congestion pricing toll for drivers entering downtown Manhattan began on Sunday. Drivers will now pay $9 to access the busiest part of the city during peak hours. The toll is a first of its kind in the United States. It aims to reduce gridlock in the densely packed area while raising funds to improve the city's struggling public transit system. Jano Lieber, CEO of the Metropolitan Transit Authority, confirmed that the system has been operational since midnight. He said the infrastructure included 1,400 cameras, over 110 detection points, as well as more than 800 signs. Lieber also addressed the need to work with President-elect Donald Trump, who has opposed congestion pricing, saying that he was, quote, hopeful that, despite some rhetoric, we will continue to work with the federal government and navigate the change of administration. The program survived multiple lawsuits aimed at blocking it. That included a last-ditch effort by the state of New Jersey to secure a temporary injunction.
Team USA celebrated winning the 3rd edition of the United Cup in Sydney. They defeated Team Poland 2-0 at Ken Rosewall Arena to record their 2nd win in 3 years. The mixed team tournament began with players from 18 countries vying for both national bragging rights and a share of $10 million in prize money. Taylor Fritz, the world number 4, completed a tough 3-set win, downing Hubert Hockaч 6-4, 5-7 and 7-6. The 10th match featured a combined 30 aces, only one service break and each player winning 96 points. It's the second time Fritz has lifted the trophy, and he said it made up for the disappointment of losing in 2024.
It's awesome to win it. Again, obviously the first year winning it, and we were kind of disappointed last year, so yeah, it's just great to have a really good year this year, great team, kind of bring the energy back from the first year and win it again.
Coco Gauff, the world number 3, had got the Americans off to a rousing start with her 6-4, 6-4 defeat of world number 2 Iga Swiatek, fueled by 4 aces and 5 service breaks. Gauff told reporters she was surprised and delighted to be named most valuable player and will have the trophy on display at home.
I didn't know it was a thing, so I wasn't expecting anything like that, but probably the only time, you can get MVP in tennis, so that's pretty cool. So I think it's one of the trophies I might actually leave outside the box.
Dennis Kudler joined in the celebrations as well. Kudler didn't play in the final but helped his team by winning his semi-final doubles match.
Super special, again, I've said it numerous times, just representing our country, being here the first year, the inaugural year, and having such a great time, and then not being able to bring it back. Last year definitely created a fire in the team, and having Fritz, Coco, such a special team, and bringing it home, I think it was just overall an impressive week for both of them.